Hey, what's up, everybody? I hope you're all having a good Thursday, and thank you all for being here for taking it back. I'm with Zach Payne, Red Pill 78. What's up, dude?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, man. You surviving the storms down there? Are you in a bad spot? Are you concerned? Evacuating? What's the deal, man?
No, nothing like that. No, we're close to an evacuation zone. I mean, we live pretty close to the coast. But the biggest I'm not worried about the storm surge. I'm not worried about water coming in from the ocean, but we have been getting the last couple of times it's rained. We didn't really rain like all year. And then all of a sudden, it was like all the water we should have gotten came down all at once. And so we flooded a little bit in the back porch. And if that was to stayed sustained for any period of time, then it might be a problem. But I have sandbags, I have pumps so that I can push the water someplace where it is going to be able to drain. And we're going to get a lot of rain. I'm certain about it. But we're not in any, position where we need to get out of Dodge or anything like that. There are definitely going to be some places that get hammered. I mean, there's places where they're talking about 20 feet worth of storm surge. I mean, like that's like, nobody can survive that. That's like up to the top of the telephone poles and stuff.
That's wild. So you were in the pre-show, we were hanging when you were listening to a message or a video, they were telling people to write their like name and address on their bodies in permanent marker so they could be identified when the storm ultimately kills them.
That's right.
That's pretty morbid.
It definitely is, But I mean, it's the way of the world, I mean, people down here in Florida are just so used to hurricanes, and I mean, most people know themselves and they know their capabilities, and some people underestimate the power of storms sometimes, but I mean, I think that by and large, you're mostly everybody is going to be okay. People's houses might be gone. You might have some significant damage. Obviously, that's awful. But overall, I mean, everything will be okay.
Is this the first major hurricane since you've been down there that you've been dealing with, or have
No.
you had a few? Okay.
Yeah, the first year we moved here, I don't remember which hurricane it was, but in 2021, and that came in on the Atlantic side. So I mean, it hit us on directly. And that was a couple of days of a lot of rain. But it really wasn't a big deal. We definitely lost power, but we had a generator. I got a battery backup now, so if we lose power, I mean, I'm smooth sailing. I'm not worried about anything. And like I said, we got sandbags, we got pumps, I've got food, we've got perishable, and a couple of years worth of non-perishable food, that survival food. So we're totally fine. Lisa's freaked out. She's always freaked out by storms. She pays so much attention to what's happening, and I don't blame her, but I mean, like, I got to keep my head cool because otherwise nobody would.
Right, right, right. I was gonna ask you. Oh yeah, how long are they? Have you heard like? 'Cause I haven't really been watching a lot of the mainstream media the last couple of days, but are they already starting to blame this on climate change? It's a climate disaster.
You
So
know
it
what?
sounds like
I have not heard the climate meme pop up yet, to be perfectly honest with you. But I honestly haven't been watching a ton of coverage on it. I mean, I saw some like weather channels that Lisa watches in the lead up to it, and those guys are pretty apolitical. Really just talking about the storm itself. But no, I have not seen CNN or MSDNC give us the climate change meme yet, but I'm certain it's probably coming.
on its way for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Let me go ahead and take care of our first sponsor here before we really get into too much, which is our friends at Brightcore. All right, it's time to transform your health by healing your gut with Kimchi One from Brightcore Nutrition. Kimchi One is the fermented superfood your body needs to improve digestion, strengthen immunity, and fight obesity. With over 900 strains of unique probiotics in each capsule, Kimchi One is the one thing you need to win the war in your gut. 70 to 80% of the immune system is stored within the gut. Kimchi One can help you fight bacterial infections, viruses, and common illnesses. It even helps to alleviate chronic conditions like constipation, irritable bowel syndrome, skin conditions like eczema, and balding. Aside from these benefits, Kimchi One is full of ingredients known to stimulate healthy immune function, soothe digestive organs, nourish the gut, fight bacteria, and heal every area of the body. Recent studies show that people who consumed 1 to 3 servings of kimchi every day had less obesity, lower BMIs, and smaller waistlines due to kimchi's ability to boost metabolism and curb appetite. Kimchi One is all natural, made in the USA, and non-GMO. Exclusive for Badlanders, you get 25% off at mybrightcore.com when you use code BADLANDS at checkout. So big thank you to Brightcore. Go check out the Kimchi One. And yeah, again, those of you guys watching on Badlands Rumble, please give us a thumbs up. To all of the fam on 412 Productions over on pill.net. Give us a red pill repost the show. Wherever you're watching, please share the links out there. We always appreciate you guys doing that. I don't even know where to start, Zach. There's no assassination attempts this week. There's no debate to discuss. It almost feels like I should have canceled the show. Like, what do we even talk about? But I guess let's start with Alex Jones getting liquidated, man. I feel like is this the end of Infowars? I feel like it's been such a people love it, hate it, like I don't know how you feel about Alex Jones. I've gone back and forth on him so many times over the past 6 years. But clearly there's a lot of people in positions of influence and power that have it out for him.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one news broadcaster that's actually held accountable for his lies, supposed lies, I guess. It's kind of wild.
I think that it's a sad day for the free flow of information. Even if Alex and his team have their own personal bias or the manner in which they present things, but I think that no matter what you think about Alex Jones on a personal level, or what he's tried to do to capture market share in the past, I think that Alex has done a lot of good with Infowars. And, I don't know very many people who haven't at least been introduced to Infowars at some point and it had an effect on them. There's a lot of great documentaries that they've produced over the years. There's been a lot of people that they've given, press to, have allowed for exposure to millions of listeners on a daily basis. And it's quite clear that the government went after him for a reason, wasn't it like an OMG report, or was it Project Veritas? There was like a CIA agent who had said that specifically the federal government sought to capitalize on what he said about Sandy Hook by going to the Sandy Hook families and basically telling them, hey, we can use you to take Alex Jones out. And that's exactly what they've done. So I don't think this is the end of Infowars. It might be the end of the brand. I don't know if the liquidation of the company will result in the wholesale of the name itself. Now, it very likely could be purchased by a bad actor, somebody who wants to, snap up all of the Infowars properties and then just put it in a concrete box on the bottom of the ocean, never to be seen again. But Roger Stone had posted I don't even know what to call it anymore. It's not a tweet. It's an X post about purchasing Infowars and then hiring Alex Jones to run it. Now, if that happens, then he can just continue on and keep broadcasting from the same location. But if it's the other way around, then, obviously, he can do it from anywhere. He can go back to doing it in, his back bedroom, or, renting a space from somebody he's friends with or something like that. Certainly, I think it's probably going to result in a lot of people losing jobs. That's definitely shitty. And I wonder what that means for, the back catalog and stuff. I guess that all of that stuff really is freely available online. So they're not going to be able to, suppress that stuff. But, he's also got, I think it's band.video, like their own video platform. I don't know what that means for all of that. But, it's a sad day for freedom of speech in America. Anytime media of any type gets shut down, especially when you're talking about comparing it to the mainstream media, as you did, there are nothing but lies, nothing but propaganda. And, Alex Jones, all the time runs counter to that official narrative. And so they want to shut him down. Just like they shut us down, after the Hunter Biden laptop came out. And now, here we are. It's a couple years later. and they've taken, $1 billion from him, and I don't think it's done any he has made major inroads with some big people, and a lot of people are listening to him now that previously used to think that he was just a loon. I don't care for his approach a lot of the time. I think back to when he appeared on Piers Morgan years ago. I want to say it was like 2012. I
Yeah.
remember being so excited for that because I loved Alex Jones. I would listen to Alex Jones, religiously.
You're like an OG Alex Jones guy. You're talking
Yeah,
2012. Okay.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's how I learned about Obama. I mean,
Yeah.
like, figuring out who Obama was, and so I was like, great, he's going on Piers Morgan. I mean, this is our opportunity to show that this is about truth and the free flow of information. And everybody will know that people who listen to Alex Jones, or that Alex Jones isn't like some crazy person. And then he went on Piers Morgan and he acted like a total fucking buffoon. It was really disappointing. And I remember at the time thinking, like, why would he do that? It almost seemed to me, and this is just my opinion, but it seemed like it was a coordinated move to like stop the movement in its tracks and to make sure that people continue to have that negative opinion of him. I don't know that that's what happened, but I mean, that's what it felt like to me as a fan and as somebody who, was really a big proponent of trying to get information out. I thought it set the truth movement back a lot, which was really, really depressing.
Yeah, see, I wasn't into this back then, so I wasn't around for all that. But I've always, from what I've seen, since I've been watching him since about 2016, roughly, I've always thought that he was kind of one of these controlled opposition guys,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like a clown, right? He
That's
says
certainly what it felt like. Yeah.
85, 90% of what he says is true, but then he'll sprinkle in 10% of just nonsense in there to discredit himself. So then, you're out there and you're having drinks with a buddy and you bring up some of this stuff and they're like, oh, you sound like Alex Jones, that
Mm-hmm.
guy I
Yeah.
saw about making the frogs gay on Conan
Yep.
last night, or Stephen Colbert. And then they just, nothing else you say has any legitimacy
Exactly.
or value in their eyes because everything is Alex Jones at that point.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And I mean, that's why I say, you take the good, you take the bad. In one respect, he opened a lot of people's eyes to a bunch of good information, but then, he also did a disservice in other respects. And, I don't begrudge people, their right to behave in any way that they want. And, maybe Alex Jones is, totally honest and legitimate in the way that he handles things. And he's just got personal things going on. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to judge the guy. I mean, I don't listen to Alex Jones. I mean, I've got, my own stuff that I do, and I don't really listen to other people. I don't want to be influenced by what other people are saying. I've got friends that I have conversations with, and we talk about things in the real world. And then, I do my own research. And so, I mean, he's an acquired taste. He's for some people and he's not for other people. And, maybe it just, this is the way it had to go. I mean, maybe America wasn't ready for a lot of the things that he was saying. And, I mean, you can go back even farther than Alex Jones, Bill Cooper. I mean, like Bill Cooper was before Alex Jones, and Alex Jones kind of came in and captured up all of Bill Cooper's market share when he was murdered by the feds.
right.
There's a lot of theories about why that took place. But I don't
Was it right
know.
before 9/11, Bill Cooper, or was it right
Yes.
after 9/11? Right before or right after Bill
I want
Cooper?
to say it was right after because he predicted that they were going to blame Osama bin Laden, and then the feds show up, I think for back taxes or something like that, and then they shot him to death in his driveway.
Unreal. Frankie just texted me. I had no idea. He said he's out of town, so he's not going to make it today.
Okay.
I was fully expecting Frank today because I hadn't heard from him, and usually when I don't hear from him, that means he's in. But unfortunately, Frankie Val is out of town, so wherever you are, Frank, travel safely, and hopefully we'll catch up with you next week. Um, do you do you think Sandy Hook was a real event? Was Alex
Oh,
onto something there, or was that a swing and a miss by him? Because I've never actually looked into it closely enough. Like I've seen the videos of the guy like fake crying or fake or laughing and then like fake crying as he steps up to the mic, and I've seen some stuff here and there, but I've never like really given it the full time of day to be sure one way or another myself. I'm curious what you think about Sandy Hook.
I have done a ton of research on Sandy Hook, and yes, I think that Alex Jones was right on with a lot of that stuff. And I mean, like there are so many things about the Sandy Hook narrative that just don't make any sense. And I was paying attention to it like at the time, as it was happening. And yeah. So I mean, I think that's why the government went after him. It was because he got too close to the truth and all that stuff. Um, yeah, Sandy Hook. I don't even I hesitate to say it like directly because I don't have any means, right? Like if the government and anybody wanted to come and take everything from me, it would be very easy. So, let's just say that like, I do not believe that it happened the way that the government said.
That's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair. Okay. Um, because Alex Jones did eventually walk back his statements on
Oh, he
that.
had to. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was forced to because of the case, I mean, and of course he was he was at his back up against the wall. He was trying not to lose everything. And the court like forced him to.
Yeah, I guess a lot of good that did him long term. He
Yeah.
might as well have just stuck to his guns on that one because it ended up exactly where he's trying to avoid it ending up anyway. It
Yeah.
almost goes to show you, like you might as well stick by it because if they want to take from you, they're going to. They're going to find a way to. They
Yep.
have just too much power, too much unchecked power.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it's a dangerous precedent too, right? Like it has a chilling effect on kind of doing the things that we do because you don't know like what's the next sacred cow that one of us accidentally goes after, rubs someone the wrong way, and then all of a sudden, you're getting served with papers and everything you've worked for is being threatened. And that's exactly what they want, right? Is to have a chilling effect on these kind of conversations online.
That's exactly it. They want people to be afraid to ask questions. They want you to be afraid to consider that, something might be other than what they've told you that it is. And yeah, that chilling effect is very real, very, very real. And, I think that honestly, I mean, the message to the alternative media is look at what we can do. I mean,
Yeah.
like, not only can we take everything you own, not only can we ruin you, but we can also shut down your ability to, even use your voice, which is like one of the most fundamental aspects of being an American citizen. So,
Have you heard anything more about the Russian infiltration of independent media for
mm.
I forget the name of the network that they went after,
Tenet,
but
Tenet
Tenet.
media. Yeah.
Have you heard? Has there been anything else to come out on that? I haven't heard much myself since we talked about it a few weeks ago. Um, but I feel like they're really between Alex Jones right now and that, like they're really making a push against independent media heading into this election. Like it's like all this stuff seems to be kind of going up a level in intensity.
There is, and and then you combine that with the recent statements by Merrick Garland and the Department of Justice. I mean, talking about the relentless attacks and fake news against the Department of Justice and the FBI. I mean, these, they're above reproach, and we've been put in danger by dangerous misinformation being shared online. Yeah, I mean, they are broadcasting that they want to criminalize any speech that goes against the mainstream narrative, and the claims that were made against Tenet Media, from what I understand, Lauren Chen and her husband really are the only ones who had any level of culpability. I mean, they were the only ones that were aware that funding was coming from Russians, and I personally don't even have a problem if someone from another country wants to fund a venture here in the United States. I think that that's, so what? I mean, like, did they know that they were somehow connected to the Russian government? I don't know. I have no idea about that. That's a little different. But you've got foreign investment in the United States all the time. I mean, how much farmland have they allowed the Chinese to buy up?
Well, that's a good like that's a question in itself right there. Like what should there be certain things that are off limits to foreign investment, whether it's farmland or media infrastructure? Because I just look at like George Soros, right? Like he just
Mhm.
bought 220 radio stations heading into
Totally illegal. Like that's never happened in the history of this country.
Yeah, like so, like I just Russia invests $10 million, which is a drop in the bucket when you're talking about campaign influence. Huge deal. Merrick Garland's out there. All this. George Soros buys 220 radio stations. Silence.
I
But
think that yes, there should be limits, or at least if there is going to be investment. Okay, well, on certain things, like I don't think that any strategic resources of the United States should be owned by foreign actors in any respect. Okay, so media, hands off, farmland, hands off, critical infrastructure like ports, hands off, manufacturing, like, American companies should be American. I don't think that they should be allowed to, port themselves overseas and then, run operations here, while they're, not paying taxes and stuff. I mean, I think that all of that is bad. But if you're going to have foreign investment on, say a business venture, I think that it should be like clearly marked. I mean, there should be an open and transparent process for something like that. And, they force that when it's convenient for them. And then they hide it when it's convenient for them. I mean, like, I'm sure we're going to talk about Eric Adams. I mean, like, you're talking about foreign money coming into his election campaign or multiple election campaigns. And that's illegal, right? I mean, like, you're not supposed to be able to have foreign money in American elections. All right. So he subverted the process somehow, and the DOJ is now filing charges against him. I have a lot of thoughts about that. I'm going to be talking about that predominantly at 5 p.m. But they're only doing something about it now. I mean, if anybody thinks that this is the only time something like this has happened in politics and in New York City, you're sorely mistaken. I think that it's all about transparency. And, when it comes to politics, absolutely not. Like politics, lobbying, influence, there should be no such thing as foreign actors in those arenas. And, that's why you've got FARA, right? The Foreign Agents Registration Act, which Hunter Biden never bothered to register for. And, a number of other people doing the exact same thing. You've had a couple of journalists recently also getting in trouble for just that. It's a fine line, and it's not something that's being applied universally. It's no exaggeration to say that the system under which we operate is completely out of whack. Like, there is no uniform enforcement of any laws or statutes, and it's only enforced selectively. And then oftentimes it's also enforced deliberately, as a means to destroy or to make political maneuvers. And even when there's no truth to what it is, like, let's go back to the tenant media stuff. They're not charging Tim Pool or, any of those other people that were involved with tenant media, Benny Johnson, I can't remember anybody else's name. They're not charging them with acting as foreign agents. They're not charging them for taking foreign money. They're just making an association with them to this foreign money because they were employed by tenant media. And from what I understand, the tenant media stuff, I mean, all they did was like rebroadcast some of their shows. I mean, it was a rather benign example of foreign influence. I mean, even if those guys were Russian, they weren't like getting editorial control over anything that those people were saying.
Right.
So they're just the DOJ is attempting to make this association in the minds of the American people that alternative media is the same as Russian propaganda. And they've been doing that for years. I mean, like, go back to 2016 and, the Russian plot to subvert the election. I mean, they did the exact same thing then. They called all of us Russian bots back then.
I remember.
Okay. And now it's just evolved into something else, but it has the exact same flavor.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Um, the Russia boogeyman is so pathetic too. I talked about this when this first happened, but It's such a pathetic scapegoat to just and lazy too. Just to like, oh, that's just and they've done such a good job of making Russia and Putin a trigger point in a significant portion of the population's mind. You know,
Hmm.
they created this boogeyman, and now they use it now to dismiss things without actual argument or evidence as to why they should be dismissed. So if they don't like something, if something goes against their official narrative, they don't have to they don't have to be like, well, here's actual empirical facts or evidence to, disprove what these crazy online conspiracy theorists are saying. All they say is, "Oh, that's Russian disinformation," or
Right.
they're Putin stooges," and a lot of people just hear that and be like, "Oh, that's good enough for me," and they dismiss it too.
Yeah.
It's really really pathetic. Now you have Mark Zuckerberg. I just saw this the other day. Mark Zuckerberg is reportedly now aligned with libertarian ideology and has hired a Republican strategist to repair his relationship with right-wing media and operatives after years of censorship. Um, I mean, I don't buy anything this guy is selling, to be honest, but I find it funny. I think that he's smart enough to see where this next election is likely heading, and it sounds to me like he's trying to get on the good side of a Trump administration that, he did dirty back in 2020.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. I mean, he's not stupid. He definitely sees which way the wind is blowing. He knows that President Trump is going to be coming back. He also knows that he needs market share. He needs users on Facebook. And, he knows that a lot of people just don't trust Facebook. I mean, whether it's for their data harvesting or if it's for the fact that they censor a lot of what people want to talk about. And so he's got to repair himself if he wants Facebook to continue to stay a viable company. They have dumped a lot of money into research and development, trying to kind of, push into the next phase of what this company is going to be overall. I mean, it's the big portion of the business is not necessarily Facebook anymore. I mean, they're pushing into gaming and hardware. I did see that they just came out with a new pair of AR glasses, and then they have like a new type of what is the and there's another type of like reality bending eyewear that they have. It's like it kind of like Apple the Apple headset. I can't remember what it's called because nobody has one.
I don't even know. It says like augmented reality, not full
Yeah.
virtual
I
reality.
mean, it's like augmented reality, but it's more than augmented reality. Like, so these new glasses have like a heads up display, and they have like a translator. They have artificial intelligence in them. They're built on Facebook's Llama AI model, and and like it works in conjunction with your phone. So you wear these glasses. There's a camera. It can take pictures and video, and you look at something and you say, "Hey, what is this?" And it'll tell you. If you want to translate, your speech, you're talking to somebody, you both speak two different languages, it will translate your speech to that person and play it like through the loudspeaker. That's kind of cool. I mean, we're getting close to like Star Trek here with some of this stuff. And I am a fan of that. But, it's still all about the information harvesting. And they want to know who you are, and they want to be able to keep tabs on you. And if you're wearing some device like that, I mean, somebody has access to all of that information, and there's just no safe way to make sure that your most private details, information, and experiences are not being harvested and offloaded onto a server that is then being used potentially against you. So there is. I think that Mark Zuckerberg basically wants to make sure that he's not going to get prosecuted as soon as Donald Trump comes back into office.
What was the name of the there's like the CIA program or the NSA program that shut down the same day Facebook started. You know what I'm talking about? That was like
Yes, yes. That was a DARPA program,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it
that's what it
was
was.
LifeLog.
LifeLog.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I agree that wearing these glasses or whatever might not be the best idea if you're trying to keep your information away from the government. I still
Hmm.
think that there's something there.
Yeah.
So it feels like a lifetime ago where we were talking about that. Um, but yeah, I still look at Facebook in that light as like a DARPA program. I don't, buy the whole origin stories of it or exactly what, Mark Zuckerberg's true involvement is in all this. But anyway, it's interesting to see him kind of uh change mindset a little bit, at least outwardly, as we go into the election here. Uh
He's looking a little bit less like a tight ass too. Like his hair is growing out, kind of wearing like, relaxed shirts. He's got sunglasses.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Pretty funny.
All right. Well, let's talk about the Eric Adams thing here for a second, because you brought that up. My main question is, normally Democrats don't get prosecuted by other Democrats.
No.
Um, is it because he was critical of the immigration situation there, or is there something else going on here, Zach? Like, why him? Like you said, this happens all over the place all the time. I can see it being weaponized against, a MAGA candidate or a MAGA mayor somewhere or any Republican, but Eric Adams is pretty far left leaning guy.
He
Um,
is. He
Plays
is.
along with most of what they go for. So why was he being targeted here?
I think that's exactly it. I mean, he dared to speak up. And of course, his, protestations, no matter how meager, were definitely latched onto by people like us and those who were already calling attention to this. Look at this. Even Mayor Adams, who's a Democrat, he's practically a socialist. He's saying that this is untenable. Their success on, the outcome of this operation needs to be success for them, because through that, they'll be able to use all of those bodies to cast ballots for Democrats. They're doing like a population replacement operation. And so they need everybody on their team to have a unified front and to pretend like, this is a good thing and like, we can absorb it. And, this is about humanitarian efforts. And, I mean, and Eric Adams saying anything other than that was definitely counterintuitive to their demands. So, the fact that all politicians likely are engaging in the exact same type of behavior like this, I think that this was a warning to anybody else that might be thinking about stepping out of line, because it was, I mean, the things they're describing, I mean, unironically, it's exactly the same type of behavior that the Bidens have been engaging in all of this time. So I truly do think it's a warning.
Okay, no, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense. All right. Also, we have to get into. Have you been following Candace Owens the last few days and her whole um research into the Kamala Harris family tree? Have you gotten a wind of this at all?
I have not seen that. I don't really follow Candace Owens,
All right.
so I'd be interested to know
I'm gonna,
what she's giving
yeah,
up.
yeah. Let's. I'm gonna play like this quick. It's like a 4-minute video that kind of gets to it a little bit. There's a bunch of stuff out here, and I'm still trying to wrap my brain around exactly what it all means.
Mm-hmm.
But her origin stories are coming into question here in a big way. This is Candace Owens talking about Kamala Harris's grandmother, who she claims she's in this picture with, apparently died 4 years before she was even born. So it's just
What?
yeah, yeah. So I'll read what this guy says here. It says Candace Owens discovered that the picture of the lady Kamala Harris took a picture with, claiming it was her Jamaican grandma, died 4 years before Kamala was born. How do you take a picture with someone who died before you were born? This should be national news right now. So take a look at this, Zach.
As speculated, we were able to confirm that Kamala's Black grandmother that she showed us in that picture died in 1960, before Kamala was born. I can show you right now her death certificate. Let's take a look at Beryl's death certificate, which confirms As you can see there, it says that she died in July of 1960. It also tells us on the right-hand side, you guys will probably have to zoom in on this, but she died of a uterine infection, uterine fibroids due to a hysterectomy. It has her listed as 39 years. That's actually a couple of years off from 1917, so somebody may have gotten their math wrong here. But you once again see that it lists her birthplace as Saint Anne. And so this is a huge scandal. Just an absolutely huge scandal. Kamala Harris published in her book that she was standing next to her Grandma Beryl. But Grandma Beryl died in 1960, 4 years before Kamala Harris was born. So who the hell is the real Beryl? Who is that woman standing next to Kamala Harris? And do you know what I noticed about that woman standing next to her? She looks a lot like the woman that Kamala claims in her book is her great-grandmother, Iris. Now, that's Iris Finnegan. Here's the book with my great-grandmother, Iris Finnegan in Jamaica. Now, I'm going to give you the side-by-side of Iris and her alleged daughter, Beryl, who died at 39. Now, that woman on the right is not 39 years old. She's clearly much more advanced in her age. I mean, we know black don't crack. I mean, that's just a scientific fact. So I would put that woman on the right-hand side, who she tried to pass off as Beryl, and I think is the exact same person. I would say that that woman looks to be about 65. And then it looks like she's more advanced on the left-hand side. The great-grandmother, that's the same person. When I just believe my own eyes, we're looking at the same person. What do you guys think when you look at those photos? How the hell does a person who is the vice president of the United States pass off a book, claim that these people that are in her book are her black relatives, and nobody bats an eyelash or does even a peripheral search to recognize that the woman that she put forth is implausibly her grandmother? And by the way, I'm going to say this and people can be offended, but the first thing that I thought when I saw the photo of her sitting on her great-grandmother's lap was that this doesn't look like a grandparent affection going on here. Like, this woman looks like she could be working for the family. Quite literally, I thought to myself, this woman looks like she could be the help. And I thought that because there's a lack of affection there. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no, like, in both of the photos, there's a lack of affection. It's just like a woman standing next to her. And I obviously know that that was a circumstance when you're talking about a family that had a ton of plantations, which is the reality. She descends from Irish slavers. That is a fact that Kamala Harris cannot deny. She descends from wealthy Irish slavers who virtually they did own the town. They named the town. It was Hamilton Town, then it was Brownstown in Jamaica. He had over 1,000 slaves, okay? It would follow that there would be help around the house. And I'm just gonna put here as a question mark, not as a fact. If they're looking at some of these photos of people who became like family and they're trying to pass them off like relatives, again, not a fact, a huge question mark, but my instinct tells me that that person is actually not her family member. And if it is, well, Kamala's got some explaining to do. How did she meet Grandma Beryl almost 20 years after Grandma Beryl died? Because Kamala Harris looks to be about 20 in that photo that she presented. Then there's another bit of a mystery.
I mean, this whole thing, like, I've watched more videos on this. The whole thing's really weird. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, Zach. But it's just like, why do we always see this with these elitists or these elite, like, political elites? Like, where they come from, who their parents are. Like, there always seems to be these interesting questions as far as like who these people actually are. It looks like Kamala Harris is no different.
Well, you know, when it comes to Barack Obama, I mean, I think he was a CIA cutout his entire life. The fact that Kamala Harris's father was a well-known communist economist, possible that she is as well. And so the entirety of her life might be just as made up as Barack Obama, but she was just not as successful as him. So people haven't really paid attention up until this point. If the picture on the left is older than the picture on the right, I don't understand how the later photo can have a younger woman. The only thing that I would say in, trying to debunk that is like, how do we know that it's the same Beryl I didn't see the last name. I don't know if it was Harris or something. Well, I guess it must be Harris. Her father's name must be Harris because her mother is like, Junipal or something like that. It was an Indian name. So I don't know how common that name is in Jamaica. So we don't know, but I mean, certainly it's compelling and I think it's worth a look. But it would not surprise me at all if Kamala Harris's entire life was a construct. Because quite often, I mean, that's exactly what these people do. I mean, they have these sort of storybook adaptations of what their life is meant to look like that they present to the American people. And then in reality, behind the scenes, they are someone else entirely. It's like, remember like, when Joe Biden was running in 2020 and they kept talking about, how, oh, he's going to bring sanity back to the White House. He was supposed to be this like even-tempered, friendly, grandfatherly like figure, a wise old sage who had, decades of diplomacy under his belt, but he was a madman. I mean, like, when the cameras are off, and even it got to the point now when the cameras are on, he's snapping at people. He's, yelling. He clearly, he's not the man they said he was. Kamala Harris is supposed to be a real see you next Tuesday behind the scenes, but I mean, she like plays this character like, she's, jovial and everything's happy and, she's having fun. But I mean, she's all an actor. That's all she is.
As staffers are quitting her administration at record pace.
Yes.
Can't stand
I mean,
around it.
They don't just do that for nothing. I've run businesses before. You have your entire staff taken off. I mean, there's probably a problem with the way that you're running things.
She is unbelievably untalented too. Like for someone that, has like this shady origin story, clearly groomed for these positions on some level, like she's really bad at it. I don't know if you caught any of the clips of her most recent, not even interview, but TV production, I guess, on MSNBC. I don't consider it an actual interview when it's, edited and pre-recorded and cut up to make her look as good as she possibly can.
Yeah.
But even with all those advantages, man, she can't answer a question like directly. She sounds unprepared and completely in over her head.
I mean, that's the impression I get. I mean, she doesn't have a real grasp on policy. She's completely disconnected from the needs and the experience of the average American. I mean, she comes from means, okay? And she's had a pretty easy life. I mean, besides, maybe getting I don't want to get too filthy. I mean, there's a lot I could say about the way Kamala Harris rose through the ranks, and all kinds of indignations she might have suffered along the way. But I tend to think that she was welcoming all of that as it came her way.
Oh, whatever could you mean, Zach? No, I mean, they asked her a question about raising corporate taxes, I think. And the interviewer said something like, well, if it's a Republican Congress and they block that, like, how are you going to create room in the budget to do all these things you want to do? And all she could say was, well, we just have to raise those taxes. Like, we just have to do it. We just have to do it. Like, I don't know. There's a level of ignorance and arrogance there that's unbelievable. And, not even MSNBC can completely like hold her hand through it to like help her out. Like there's not a fake news network strong enough in their propaganda powers to make her look competent or like a capable leader. I don't know how they got stuck with this woman, Zach, but it's kind of amazing that that's of all the people to take on the boogeyman Donald Trump, the threat to democracy, the ender of days, like Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and Tim Walz. Like that's like their offensive line here. It's like it's amazing.
Well, I think it's a commentary on the quality of people that are drawn to public service under the banner of Democrats, right? I mean, like it's a group that's made of unintelligent, narcissistic sociopaths who are not joining the ranks of public service to serve people or even to create better policy, but they're joining based upon their own limited ideological framework of the way the world should work and how they want to mold it to better fit how they believe things ought to be, and also to personally enrich themselves along the way.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. All right, what time is it? We got 5 minutes left. Let's do this. The Babylon Bee, who always has hilarious stuff. This story really pissed me off when I saw this happening, but the Babylon Bee made light of it, so that was good for me. Says Trump will start World War III. It says party autographing bombs to be launched at Russia.
Oh
This-
my God, the absurdity of it all. It's so great.
it really, but like how tone deaf is this? This is an unpopular conflict. Nobody wants war.
Yeah.
War
Except
is
for the people
incredibly
that are instigating it.
and here you have Josh Shapiro signing artillery shells that'll be used to kill more people.
That's right.
And he's proud of it. Like he's smiling and laughing as if it's a laughing matter. Is
Yeah.
like is there a time where war is absolutely necessary? I'm sure maybe there's been a few in history that they have been. Most of them are not. Most of them are a way to, create more control out of a sense of chaos, to consolidate power and wealth, to continue to keep the people, the underlings in their place. But like war is a failure of diplomacy, right? Like it's because your leaders could not find an amicable solution to a conflict that keeps citizens from having to sacrifice their lives in the name of service to the nation. So when you're at war, when you're dealing with these conflicts, that's because you ultimately failed as a government to find a better way forward. To sit here and autograph artillery shells as a politician, not as a soldier or a warrior or a general or someone that's actually going to get into this shit and bleed and sweat for their country, but as a politician who's taking kickbacks, wearing a fancy suit and sitting in a governor's mansion, to be sitting there making light of this, signing these things that are to be used to take. It's so insulting to every one of my sensibilities, Zach. Like there's no value for human life. There's no respect for any of the people actually fighting this war. It's such an elitist, tone-deaf gesture.
Mm-hmm.
And they just broadcast it. They're so fucking proud of themselves. It infuriates me. My blood was boiling when I saw this.
Yeah. So, the problem is that you're coming at it from the perspective of a person with a moral foundation. And those who send people off to war are not doing it from any sort of like true moral or ethical perspective. For a government like what we have right now in war, it accomplishes a couple of things. First of all, it's an excuse for control. It's an economic driver. It allows for a thinning of the herd. It also creates instability, which creates opportunities for diplomacy and takeover of resources. Again, it's a very, very selfish thing, especially in the modern world. To us, war is a failure of diplomacy. But for these people, war is the first step in their utter control of the world, so that they don't really have to worry about diplomacy. And this is just a self-perpetuation of the same tired old tropes that continue on over and over, and it keeps the world remaining in this period of instability and uncertainty, and it hampers progress, in terms of society and the betterment of the human race. And that's exactly what they want. They don't want us to be better off. They want us to be worse off, and they want us to be dependent on them.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's perfectly said, Zach. Well, hey man, I know we're at about 5-2. You got your show coming up. I know you're covering Mayor Eric Adams and his indictments. Anything else you're going to be jumping into today?
Well, I guess President Trump just went live, so I'm going to be streaming President Trump's presser if it's still going, and then a lot more. I'll just suffice to say a lot more.
All right. So that's in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Guys, go check out Red Pill 78. Hang out with them here in the 5 o'clock hour. Zach, thanks as always for hanging out and being part of the show, man.
Always a great conversation, Adam. We'll see you soon. Bye, guys.
There he goes. Zach Payne, redpill78news.com. He's going live in 5 minutes. Always a pleasure hanging out with him. Again, shout out to Frankie Val. I know he's missed the last couple of weeks, but he sincerely does hate missing the show. We've had conversations about it. It's not probably the best time of day to fit for him schedule wise, so he makes it when he can, and I'm incredibly grateful, for the time he does give us when he can. But either way, hopefully his travels are safe, and we get back here with him for next week's show, guys. My name is Adel Nero. If you want to follow me, beyond just taking it back, my channel is 412 Productions. My main platform is pilled.net, but I do have a channel here on Rumble, on DLive, CloudHub, Odyssey. Follow me on Twitter at 412anon87. I also broadcast the shows over there as well. Truth Social is another place that every once in a while I'll pop on, and I'm at 412 over on Truth Social. I'm gonna hang out and do some overtime with the fam. Maybe we'll stream that Trump presser as well. Do a little watch party, depending on how long that goes. Maybe take some calls after, or play some music, or who knows. We'll see what we get into here in the second hour, but that'll be exclusively on pilled.net if you guys want to come join us over there. I'll put the link in the different chats for you guys, so make it easy to find. If you can't get to the links for whatever reason, just find us at 412 Productions. Type in pilled.net to your browser and you can just find us at 412 Productions over there. So I'm going to do one more ad spot, play the outro, and then we'll jump into a little bit of overtime here on 412 Productions. So again, huge thank you to Zach Payne of redpill78news.com. And yeah, it's been taking it back. All right, we had one more ad to run here, and that's from our friends at Goldco. The 2024 election is approaching, bringing the potential impact on our finances with $6 trillion in taxes in play. It's a great time to consider buying gold. Gold prices have been soaring lately as more people turn to gold to safeguard their assets against the looming threat of a recession or a debt-induced currency crisis. Join the thousands of hardworking Americans who are taking proactive steps to safeguard their savings with Goldco. With over 10 years of experience, our partners at Goldco have established themselves as a top player in the gold industry. Their buyback guarantee assures that if your situation changes, they will repurchase your metals at the best price, providing you with peace of mind. Head over to our Goldco partners at badlandsgold.com today to claim your free gold silver kit. You may even qualify for up to 10% back in bonus silver. Again, guys, visit badlandsgold.com and take control of your financial destiny. All right, here we are. Again, thank you guys so much for hanging out, for taking it back. Thank you to Winston, buddy, for the $5 Rumble rant over on the Badlands Rumble channel. I appreciate that, buddy. Says, here's a little cash. I love Badlands, and we love you too, Winston, buddy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, guys, hop on over to pilled.net for hour number 2, or for a little overtime. Otherwise, catch us tomorrow at 4 p.m. for another deplorable discussions. Be back soon.